Polygon says, no, Pokemon Sword and Shield is not reusing models from recent Pokemon games. So this is from like last Saturday,
Okay.
but it kind of like blew up on Twitter. Everybody's fighting with each other and stuff, and it's like, come on, guys. I don't want to name names, but there was one tweet in particular that I was like, this guy was like going on a tear, and I was like, you clearly don't know how game development works. The guy was talking about how friggin' Game Freak has 300 employees and Creatures Inc. has 100 employees. Like, how come they can't just make more animations and stuff? As if all of those people are working on this one game. They have 3 teams right now. One of them is working on this Pokemon game.
Yeah.
One of them is working on Town, and one of them is working on the next Pokemon game. So that's already takes that 300 and splits it into threes. If all of those people are even working on those games, you got people who are working on PR, you got people who are doing other stuff. I think The Last of Us had like 4 character animators.
Yeah.
So like that's probably what we're working with here with Pokemon. But anyway, and it's another big controversy because people are like, you got all these people working there. You got the biggest Pokemon game you're ever making in your life. How come we can't bring all of our Pokemon? How come all of the Pokemon can't make it into this new game? Because they said that not every Pokemon will be able to be transferred into Pokemon Sword and Shield. According to Polygon, Game Freak's highly unpopular decision to limit Pokemon Sword and Shield's Pokedex spawned a rumor that the studio was reusing models from recent 3DS games, making it too much trouble to include older models. But an interview in Famitsu recently surfaced on social media and Pokemon subreddit specifically refutes this. Pause. I'm going to say some of the evidence is pretty damning.
Yeah.
It does kind of look like they're reusing either animations, mostly animations.
Yeah.
It looks like they're reusing animations. Some of the models look pretty similar. The models this guy was on his little Twitter thread, the models this guy was showing as an example are clearly different models. He's like, look at how similar these are. It's like, no, dude, those are different models. But anyway, somehow this wasn't noticed, and Game Freak didn't repeat these explanations in their response 2 weeks ago. But developers rebuilt from scratch all of the models for Pokemon Sword and Shield, meaning the reused assets rumor is bunk. Or they're just lying.
Yeah.
According to translation last month of the interview, also last month, why is it so old? Game Freak's Junichi Masuda and Shigeru Omori said that it was difficult enough bringing in a full Pokedex, now numbering 809, into 2016's Pokemon Sun and Moon. The Switch's improved graphics and visual fidelity has since lengthened the development time necessary to render Pokemon, they explained. So the decision to limit a game's Pokedex would have been made sooner or later. It was made with Sword and Shield, so everyone's getting this out of their system now. A couple of finer points on this to remember. Developments like Mega Evolution and Dynamax, which affect all Pokemon, have considerable effect on development, balancing, and artwork to give a sense of what Game Freak is staggering under after 20 years of games. And further, the Pokemon Home storage system will be able to highlight Pokemon in future games, even if they're left out of Sword and Shield. That said, it's uncertain whether Pokemon will be added to the games in post-release updates. I want to see exactly what they said about it, because Game Freak elaborates on Pokemon Sword and Shield and ability to bring in Pokemon not in the Galar Pokedex, Pokemon Home and more. This article's too long. Because like it eventually they were going to have to, because it's too much of a big jump. You eventually, if you're going to have these high fidelity graphics, you're not going to be able to bring every single Pokemon.
We too much at least work. Not at launch. We like, this was an inevitability. Like this was going to happen sooner or later, and the problem is it happens sooner than expected, and it happened at a time when the first mainline Pokemon game on a home console was happening. If this was happening on like the next one, it probably wouldn't have been a problem, because this is supposed to be the big one. Everyone expected everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the problem.
And people are ripping it apart for having like these weird, like, because it doesn't look that like it looks good for a Pokemon game, but it doesn't look that great in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like it's not Breath of the Wild beautiful, but
Yeah.
like it's a freaking Pokemon game, guys. The graphics aren't what you're buying it for.
Yeah. Pokemon has never been, a hyper realistic, CryEngine 3 or whatever game. It's a stylized, animated, cartoony world. It's going to look more like a cartoon than it will, Tomb Raider or something.
Basically everything in this article is what we just read.
Yeah.
With the shift of the Switch, the amount of time needed to make the graphics more beautiful and the animations more lively has increased and all that stuff. Again, some of the evidence that they're reusing assets is pretty damning, but also every freaking game on the planet does that. Every movie studios reuse animation assets. I went to Titmouse once as like a class trip with this class I was taking, and they were working on. I probably shouldn't even say that, but I didn't sign an NDA, so screw it.
There you go.
They're working on Turbo, like a cartoon for that little snail.
Yeah, Turbo.
thing.
Yeah.
And the Turbo guy did like some like weird jump thing. And the animator was showing us how he was animating, and he goes, "Yeah, so this one jump that he does here, I took it from a different scene because if you could save time, why not?"
Yeah.
And it
happens.
That's a animation studio who's getting all of this money from like DreamWorks or whoever made Turbo.
Yeah.
So like, if they're reusing assets, everybody's freaking reusing assets, dude. That's just how it is. If you could save time, you could save time. Nobody's going to afraid you. It's not like IGN's going to be like, they reused assets.
Yeah.
Too much water. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
So
I'm trying to think, because I remember not Mortal Kombat 11, Mortal Kombat X reused a lot of character assets for background characters and animations. And that was like the first next-gen Mortal Kombat game. But like, I don't remember anybody talking about it when it came out.
if you do too much, there's a problem.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
But again, this is Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, let's chill a little bit.
I think
the game comes out.
I think also because it's Pokemon, people are like, it's much more under the microscope than your average game.
Don't forget, we're getting a bunch new Pokemon too.
Yes.
So they might be reusing some assets from old Pokemon games, even though they're saying they're not. But we're still getting completely new assets for a whole bunch of completely new Pokemon.
Yeah.
So don't forget about that, Game's got freaking 1,000 Pokemon in it. Give them a break. Here's the thing. If you're complaining about this National Dex business or the animation that's going on there, you're either a huge Pokemon fan and you're going to get the game anyway.
Yeah.
Or you're just watching it from a distance, bitching about something you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Like you don't care at all about Pokemon, so what's it even matter to you?